Fabulous day, fabulous people. Hopefully everybody's doing super great and getting better. It's been an interesting week, should I say the least, in I guess I can say the hip hop culture, the entertainment world. We recently have had a lot of arrests, a lot of, disputes. Just a lot of things going on. So we're going to discuss them all here. How have your week been? What you been?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? What you have going on so far? It's Friday. It's the weekend. You going out tonight?
No, sir, I won't.
You're not going out?
No.
You're not outside? People be talking, well, I'm outside. I'm outside.
I'm inside.
I'm inside. Right now you are, but later. Check all that. What I'm gonna let you, you're inside right now, but we'll get into all that later on, Welcome to the channel. This is the Corey Webster Experience. I am your host, Corey Webster. I am C Web. Today we diving into a whole heap of situations that have recently occurred in entertainment, hip hop culture, and see how it spills over into our community and see if we can help individuals take in this information and use it in a way that it be beneficial to our society and our culture and to our lives. The term I do not like is one of my pet peeves. One of the terms I do not like. And I don't know if I'm right or wrong. So my opinion is I do not like the word toxic and masculinity. Now, when I said that, I mean, I don't like them together. I don't think it's any, because how we use it now, we use it as a stereotype word where we hear toxic masculinity and it's almost like those words travel together now. And I would presume in the future, we would have individuals talking about toxic femininity. And I don't want it to go there. Now, I think we have some toxic individuals that are males, but I don't think toxic masculinity should be a term. As I think there are some toxic females out there, but I don't think toxic femininity should go together. You know what I mean? Those should be two separate things. It should be individuals. And it may be bad individuals. They may be toxic individuals that are males. They got a book I read recently. Would you say I'm an avid reader or a recreational reader, or what would you say? Your opinion, observing.
So you want me to watch and babysit how many books you're reading?
Wow, I don't want you to babysit my books. I just want you to give me a honest, hot answer on what type of reader you think I am.
You have been reading a lot lately over the past 3-4 years, I would say. So, avid, yes.
Do we need to look up the term avid with it? So I just, and I say this, growing up, I wasn't a person that read a lot, but,
right.
In recent years, yes, I have books, and I've, definitely been digesting these books. I have recently got into audio books. First, I was a person that needed a paperback book or a book to be able to go through and things of that nature. So anyway, I read The Way of the Superior Man. I forgot who suggested I read that book. Maybe one of our, what do you call them, clinicians?
Maybe.
So anyway, I forget. I don't want to lie on it, but I think it's a great book and a great read. I think it does a great job of telling you about masculinity and femininity, and that we as one person, we pose both. You know what I mean? And normally, when we looking for a partner, as far as a significant other, those doesn't have anything to do with gender, masculinity and femininity. What I mean by that is yourself, myself. I have masculine traits. I have feminine traits. I don't know the percentage of it. I didn't calculate it, but I would say, I have more masculine traits than feminine traits. But for a partner, I would want them to balance me out. So where my masculine traits in that, I want their feminine traits to pick up and to balance me off, right? Like I said, that doesn't have anything to do with gender, you know what I mean? A lot of people would talk about self-care and things of that nature being a more feminine trait, you know what I mean? Caring for one another's, right? So I see men that have those traits as well. That doesn't mean that they, are feminine, you know what I mean? They just have certain traits that is associated with it. I like to smell good as an individual, and that would be associated with being a feminine trait. So with and it doesn't, I'll say this too, having feminine trait doesn't mean that you're weak, that you're meek, and it doesn't have anything to do with your sexual preference. Having more femininity or having more feminine traits doesn't make you and your sexuality change or different. You know what I mean? Even in same-sex couples, they may be a more feminine person versus a masculine person, or that person that may be masculine, they may have more masculine traits in them versus the person that they're with, whether it's male, female. But everybody pose both. That's the way of the superior man, and it kind of describes that. And I think it's be a good book that I suggest that you read. You know what I mean? But I don't like the fact that we associate now toxic with masculinity. I don't like that at all, and I think you do a good job of describing some of that to us in the near future. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, toxic masculinity is a term used to describe cultural norms and behaviors. It's not about saying masculinity itself is bad, but rather pointing out traditional masculine traits like aggression, emotional suppression, and a need to appear tough.
Yeah, so and then with sports, a lot of these things get rewarded. Being aggressive, especially in football and other sports too as well, that's rewarded as positive behavior. So one may think that because I got rewarded with being aggressive and tough in this area that was positive, they can take that and translate that to other areas of their life, that they're going to get rewarded in doing that, right? We have to be mindful of that, because I think a lot of individuals, I've saw a lot of men, we have this whole alpha male, and we think that in our sons and in our younger generation that comes behind us, we think that if you're an alpha male, that makes you something special. But we confuse alpha male with being aggressive, assertive, showing aggression toward other kids. And I don't think that that's a positive way to reinforce being tough or being physical. It's a way that you can be tough and physical without having toxic or negative aggression. And I think we need to learn that. I think that comes with, emotional intelligence and things of that nature, to be able to use the positive in those things and not just the negative in those things to make us a better person. And I think another thing that helps with that, a discipline, like a mixed martial art. You know what I mean? I'm putting my business out there now, because I receive a black belt. I receive a black belt as, Anyway, neither here nor there.
Nor there.
I'm gonna show you I'm gonna let the world see. But anyway, though, what I like about those discipline is, although you learning self-defense and you learning this discipline, at the end of the day, it's teaching you not to use these things. It's always to have it and never use it. It's kind of like insurance. It's kind of like how I learned to handle. I'm from Louisiana, and what's the amendment? The right to bear arms, the Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. And I was always taught, if you have a gun, it's for hunting purposes. If you're gonna go hunting, you should eat the kill that you out there hunting. But with a gun in self-defense, I was always taught it's better to have a gun and never use it than to be in a situation to need it and don't have it. So how I learned about firearms was it's okay to practice and, marksmanship and be a good shooter, but the whole purpose of this is to never use it. And I think that's almost the same when it comes to, a lot of discipline and mixed martial arts and stuff like that. Because my sensei taught me, hey man, first thing is to walk away. Second thing is to de-escalate the situation if you're involved in it or if you're a person that's on the outside looking in. We never lead with that. And Coach Saban at LSU, our whole team did karate in the indoor. I'm talking about 130 people. And when we was learning these disciplines and these techniques, it was always taught to us, if we got caught using this outside of this practice, on a Wednesday, I think, at about 5:30 or so, if we got caught using it in, street fights or anything like that, it was going to be a serious consequence that came along with it. Now, people got into certain things, but it never was something that fell back on what you had learned from mixed martial arts. You know what I mean? So I think we have to understand that. You know what I mean? When we just telling our kids to be aggressive, right? And we don't teach them how to be aggressive, or in those moments, I'm talking about attention to detail. We're talking about football. Yes, you can make a physical tough tackle, right? But that doesn't mean, I should step on the guy's face mask when I get up, or I should, or it should go any further than that. You know what I mean? Yes, I can, be physical on the basketball court. Yes, I can be physical sliding in to home plate with baseball, but that doesn't mean I don't help the guy up, or, I don't show good sportsmanship, being positive in doing that. It's certain things that inside of the lines are legal, but it doesn't have to spill over into other things. So be mindful of that, especially if you have kids around, especially if you're a coach, if you're a mentor. Be mindful of and be aware of your own emotional intelligence, and be mindful of just using this alpha male term that we have been throwing around lately, just so our kid can go out there and put out negative behavior and we applaud them for that. Be mindful of that. I see it every day in basketball gyms, football fields. Parents, push him. You're like, oh, okay. The other kid was just blocking your kid out. That's legal. You know what I mean? They did it in a good way because they understand the technique. But because your kid got blocked out by that kid, that doesn't give your kid the right to push the other kid down. You got to understand that. One is a push, one is a technique, is a block out. It's legal. Same way I saw, a couple of fights happen on football fields because guy made, a tough tackle, but he understands how to tackle. He practiced that. Near leg, near shoulder, explode out your hips. Right? And because that happened to your kid, now you want your kid to hit him back. It was just a legal tackle. It's okay. Your kid may need to go through that, you know what I mean? But that's why I think it's always, and I know everybody don't have these resources and things of that nature, but I think it's always important to get your kid involved in multiple sports and activities. So if your kid I love a kid getting involved in karate and, just a mixed martial art, or what's the one I like? Jiu-jitsu. I love that. You know what I mean? With it, wrestling, you know what I mean? It's cool for your kid to be a part of it. What is it?
Wrestling.
Yes. Look at you. Miss Grave would be proud of you. Miss Grave would be very proud of you. Look at you. Was a young lady that I met that said, you sit in the back of the class of the English? I met her at your English teacher. She said, oh, son, I'm happy you got her right, because she was a something else teacher. She was a something else. What your teacher told me?
To tell the truth?
I did. I am telling the truth. She told me, man, she was a handful in the classroom. Anyway, though, I don't think those, because I think where we at right now and what I'm seeing in some of our culture right now with how female rap is going, and then we'll be, talking about toxic femininity. And I don't want to get there. It just, let's start to understand, we need masculinity. We need masculinity in men. And some females have masculinity traits and things of that nature. So we need some of that. So anyway, that is, anything else you got on masculine or feminine energy? I know you had a whole list of stuff out there talking about that toxic behavior and stuff like that.
Well, as far as the toxic femininity, which we don't want to use either of those words.
Yeah.
But
not together.
Right. It is sometimes used, which refers to just harmful behaviors that's linked to tradition, whatever has gone on in the past and that has been carried down from generation to generation. But just like anything, you want to break those chains, break those curses, and become better. So with that being said, both terms are controversial and are stereotypical.
Yeah, that's what I think.
So,
yeah, that's what I think. Very controversial, because I don't think masculinity can be toxic. I don't think femininity can be toxic. I think, because of the stereotyping, because of individuals that are male or female have done, certain type of activities or certain type of behavior, that we just grouping it up in a group. I think we should do a better job of understanding those two. And I think, like I said, the way of the superior man have a pretty good explanation and a reason behind all of that. And, anything else on that? Because I don't want to overtalk it.
No, I think that's it.
That's it. So now we got to go to this. I think that carries right into what's going on in hip hop, right? Because recently in hip hop, we talk about, aggressive behavior and things of that nature. Recently in hip hop, the Rolling 60s, which is a gang, right? That's in LA based. I know they may have, branched out and moved along, but the Rolling 60s in LA had about 21 arrests. And one of the guys, Eugene Henley Jr., is supposed to be the organizer of the Rolling 60s, the head of it, and he ran a mafia style. Now, for me, I never knew him to be, just being honest, a hip hop mogul. I know some people may hold that term. I know he had some help in launching the career of Nipsey Hussle, but then we saw a whole back and forth feud over the internet, even with that matter, you know what I mean? And so I never knew him to be a hip hop mogul, but they kept talking about him being a hip hop mogul, also being an activist, also being somebody that had a foundation that was supposed to be helping at-risk youth, and all this alleged, because, we always want to make sure that all individuals are innocent until proven guilty. But he also did, I want to say he got sentenced for 21 years in 1991 for an incident where he tried to rob undercover federal agent, and they caught him in this thing and arrested him, and I think he ended up doing maybe 14 or so years from 91 to 2005. And then once he got released in 2005, had been free. I think that's 21 years and doing God knows what, but we're about to find out now. I'll say this. From individuals that come from gang culture, because we have platforms now, and just reading some of the energy that he put out, I never felt that he was an individual that had denounced the game. Because I feel like, it's a lot of individuals out there now that even had mob ties, that even I'm talking about how they portray and how they put out the information that they put out, that denounce some of the stuff that they have going on. Even we talk about I don't want to, harp on it, but we talked about the fraternities and the sororities. I saw individuals come out and denounce it. Like, yep, I crossed, I did this, I'm not a part of that no more. And I saw some gang people that denounced it. Hey, look, Yep, I was a part of this from X, Y, and Z. I denounced one of recent after the killing of his cousin, Quando Rondo. He came out and said, hey, I'm putting down the Crip rag. I am no longer a part of it. He denounced it. You understand that? So when I see older individuals that have done jail time and that's older than me, and I don't see them putting out that type of information, it just kind of, like my girl said, Ms. Robinson, it kind of concerns me. And, I just keep an ear to what you're saying. I see what you're saying, and I'm optimistic because I want everybody to be a better version of themselves. And I'm not here to judge them, you know what I mean? But I am, having my antennas up when they're speaking and when they're talking, or if I'm in the area of them to, share energy and stuff like that, because I think it's important. I'm not going to just allow you to tell me anything. And for that to be said, it talked about him also luring in a couple of athletes. We talked about Shaquille O'Neal being one of the athletes. We talked about Draymond Green being one of the athletes that donated to his charity, and he used to further his operation. And I'll say this, as an athlete, I remember individuals, I'm talking about local, I'm talking about on different levels, right? But I can remember from different levels as, you are being put in the position as an athlete to, get drafted or become well known, or becoming a person that is known around town for a particular sport. I remember individuals coming up and like, hey, let me be your bodyguard. I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, let you be my bodyguard. You can't even be security for you. I'm like, I know you for, only doing street stuff. What do I look like? In my mind, this is what I'm thinking. What do I look like allowing you to be my security or my bodyguard? And also I'm saying, why do I need security or a bodyguard? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that? You know what I mean? I remember individuals coming to me, hey man, give me X, Y, and Z, man. I do whatever for you. And I'm like, wow. You know what I mean? So just being able to process this as an athlete, as an entertainer, as somebody that's, becoming well known in a particular field, you have to be mindful that a lot comes along with that. And I remember being put in that position that, a lot comes along with that. You know what I mean? This guy talked about, he's alleged being for racketeering, that's extortion, that's trafficking, that's killings and things of that nature. But, it also goes to the whole check-in thing, I never felt the need to travel and check in. My dad ain't never check in. None of the people from my village haven't, told me about, hey, when we go to another city, we gonna check in with somebody from that city. We ain't never do that. I think that is, and I'm not looking for people to do it when they come to our town or our city. But I would say this, if I'm going to an area where I have true blood friends, family, true people that, we share certain things, I'm hitting those individuals up, you know what I mean? Because I want to know the law of the land, you know what I mean? And I've been able to travel and do things, and I'm blessed to, be here today and, haven't had any issues. But first and foremost, I travel with God everywhere I go. He's always leading everything that we have going on. But but I see some athletes fall victim of that. You know what I mean? I see some athletes be like, yeah, man, I call so-and-so. I'm like, man, you from Vassar, Louisiana. And because you going to California, you checking in with who? You don't know them people. That's how I always say. You don't know them. You don't know them. Just go there about your business. Like, I'm not looking to go to, unless we're going there for something. You know what I mean? I'm not looking to go to another city and just go into the neighborhoods that supposed to be violent or that has gang-related stuff going on to just touch the neighborhood. That doesn't make sense to me. But now if we're going there for an event, if we're going there to shed light on something or bring positivity to it, then that's something different. So that whole check-in thing was weird to me as well. But ultimately, this guy right here, we're going to find out. I think the case is going to start. They got 21 guys. I know it's hard to keep 21 guys solid, and you'll see if somebody decides to work with authorities or things of that nature. And I also say this, 2 of these guys in here, I think kind of turned into podcasters, If you go watch all the interviews, look, man, I don't want to be this guy, but a lot of individuals, especially from the entertainment athletic side of it, used to have A&R. A&R helped artists get, to where they need to. It kind of development, right? Same with sports, man. There's a lot of media training going on. So with these individuals that's coming from the street and are turning into podcasters or personalities, if you listen to the interviews, they're telling everything that they have ever done. Because it's a level of, I guess, what they're trying to look masculine, right? We just talk about toxic masculinity. It's a level there that they got to spew and they have to hold up in order for somebody to think that they're hard or they're that guy. So they put out that information. If you go back and watch these information, they've been dropping Jews and dropping, and I don't want to call them Jews because it's could be detrimental to our society, the stuff that they're dropping, the stuff that they're talking about. So it's 2 or 3 of those guys that's on that have became big for just talking. And I've never known street guys that want to be in front of the camera and talk, be on the microphone and talk. I never understood that. So, again, there's enough information out there, man. They're watching telephones, they're listening, they have that capability, especially if you're doing something wrong. They should be, right? It's just sad to say any information go to. It's just sad to say though, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people's lives ruined. A lot of these people, I'm think, going to have kids. A lot of these people have families. So, also to the people that's been maybe trafficked or the people that have been killed because we talk about murder, I want to definitely send condolences and my heartfelt prayers go towards you because a lot of people that's talking out now was scared to come out. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to keep you guys in our prayers. I definitely want to lift you guys up. If you have lost anybody from gang violence or senseless violence or, trafficking and things of that nature, you have our prayers. And we hope that even in this critical and crucial and tough time that you continue to grow, keep God first. And, with time, I know this cliche, I hope that we can, become better because of it. Also, another crazy week in hip hop. We have another a Dallas-based rapper, Yella Beezy, has been indicted on capital murder of a fellow artist from Dallas, Mo 3. Again, man, it's just a negative cycle. We have to have some positive cycle going on here. And it's never going to be positive if we keep going tick for tack, meaning you kill one of mine, I got to kill one of yours. I know it's bloodshed, and I got to be optimistic. A lot of people say once bloodshed, we can't stop it. No, and I hate to, I don't like to use the word hate, but I don't want to talk nobody else's business. But I would say they have a well-popular NFL star that one of his parents was killed. And he was able to go sit down with the killer, forgive the killer, and move forward with his life. Not because of what the killer did, but because he didn't want to spill venom in a negative way as he lived to his community. He had to forgive him for himself. Not because of the guy asked for forgiveness, but because his growth and his development, he didn't want to hinder that. And this guy does, oh man, so many great things in the community when it comes to giving back. His foundation does wonderful. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to link all this, but I'm just saying there's people out there that are examples of forgiveness. So even in our hip hop culture, even in our gang culture, once blood has been spilled, you can't forgive. Because it's not for us to not forgive. Whoever have done that crime, whether it's killing, trafficking, they have to ask for forgiveness to God. It's up for them to build that relationship with God in order to get that forgiveness. It's not about us. It's not about us. So I know that's hard, that's tough, because you have lost someone, and it's going to be different forever, and you can never go back and change that. But I don't want us to keep thinking that we got to go tick for tack. So, Yellow Bees and More 3 just getting indicted for murder for hire. That's another crazy situation.
Yes, it's definitely crazy simply because you didn't give that person life.
Yeah.
So you should not take this person's life. Whatever the beef is, whatever the drama, because that's all it is at the end of the day is drama.
And at a point in time, they once, again, I'm not there, they once were friends. And all this is allegedly, you know what I mean? I don't know who did what, when, and where. I don't know if the guy, that got picked up for the crime is tried. I don't know anything about that situation. But what I do know is you put yourself in a position to get yourself here. And right here is being picked up for capital murder and things of that nature. So just that in itself is something, you know what I mean? So we got to want to do better, man. We have to want to do better. And I think that we can do better because there's a lot of information out here. You know what I mean? In this situation, Yellow Bees, you can go ahead and talk about it. I know my fault.
Yes. His arrest was on March 18th, and he's currently awaiting further legal proceedings, but it was said allegedly that he hired a young man to carry out this murder. So
murder for hire.
Correct.
And man, so look, all right. Let's go here. Let's just play perspective for a second, right? Just with this case right here. All this is allegedly, right? But look, Mo 3 is gone. He's never coming back. He have kids. Mm-hmm. Those kids are never going to see their father. That mother is never going to see her son again. That father is never going to see his son. That family member is never going to see their son again, right? Both sides of the gun, though. Let's go here. Let's go both sides of the gun. And it goes a little further now when I say both sides of the gun, because you have an actual gunman that's in jail right now for this, right? So his family is never going to see him again. If he have kids, his kids won't see him again. His mother won't see him again unless it's, through a visitation or site. All right? Now we have somebody, this is go a little deeper. What I mean by deeper is because we used to talk about, when I was coming up, both sides of the gun. You know what I mean? Somebody that's getting shot, somebody that's the shooter. Now we have people that are paying the shooter. He's never going to see his family again. His family, his kids are never going to see him again. You see how many people is affected by that? And for the most part, they all look like each other. Different shades of black, but they all look like each other. But so many families, so many villages, so many communities is going to be affected by this act of senseless violence. So we have to start thinking about it like that. It's not only just tick for tack, he gone and we go on. This is not video game. I know my dad used to be mad with the video game back in the day, but seriously, this is not video game where you can respond to that person and they come back and they play the next 5-4 years.
No reset button.
No reset button. Once you delete an individual, once you take a life that you didn't give, because we don't give life, that's a big thing, man, especially when it comes out of senseless violence, not self-defense or anything like that, you know what I mean? It's a sad situation for our whole community, for the hip-hop world, right? Very sad. It's almost, similar to the Lil Durk. And it's crazy how another guy that's indicted on, paid hire, what do you call it? Murder for hire. Mm-hmm. So man, we have to have more emotional intelligence. So we have to talk about this stuff more and more. I don't think that if we don't talk about it, It's just gonna go away. But I'm letting both parties know from my perspective, I know it may be tough, even for the families and stuff, but we don't want the kids to grow up with a revengeful mind state. So the adults around them, let's get them help. Let's get them therapy. Let's give them, mental evaluations. Let's make that normal in our community so those kids can at least have a future. A positive future. Be able to be positive, productive citizen in society. And anything else on number 3? The rest of Yellow Beezy?
No.
And then we have another rapper out of, this all in a week. This is all in a week. Another rapper, I think he's out of Atlanta, Lotto Savage, was recently killed. So condolences and prayers to his family, his community, his village. There's just a lot, you know what I mean? It's a lot. We only, 3 months in, 2025? Mm-hmm. It's just a lot. So prayers and condolences to him. Another rapper out of the Bronx, K Flock. I don't know if I want to say beat a murder charge, because this right here we have to bring a lawyer on. We have some lawyer friends. Got a couple of them, right? So they can break down these charges and things of that nature, because the guy, Key Flock, he was convicted of a murder charge, but then, I don't want to say convicted, because they're saying he beat that charge, but then got convicted of a RICO charge. RICO is what we know to have multiple charges together. So I don't know how he beat the one individual charge, but then got caught up in the RICO charge. So again, man, the tongue, man, Flock, what I know Flock to be is robbing and stealing, jumping into people's houses, breaking into homes, right? So that's your name, you know what I mean? The power of the tongue is real, right? But, words of affirmation, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you model yourself behind some of these things, come on, you know what I'm saying? Like, give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance. By your name included, give yourself a chance. So that's just jail time, killing, being killed in the hip hop world in this week alone. We named 21 people in the Rolling 60s RICO charge. We named Mo 3 dead and gone. Mm-hmm. Yellow Bees just got picked up along with another guy that's been in jail for this. That's 3 in a whole lot of families. We named Lotto Savage. We named K Flock. All have some side or something to do with murder, death, negativity. That's a lot in 1 week. That's over 25, 30 people?
Yes.
25, 30 families going to be affected by this? And then I don't have a whole lot of information on the last person, but Kanye West just dropped a new album, and I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. My boy, Uno, said we have OGs and we have DGs.
And what does that mean?
I don't remember what he said OGs mean. I know OGs usually mean original gangsters, like the guys that came before you. And you know what gangster mean now, right? Mm-hmm. Growing and nurturing gift, serving the Almighty. So you have OGs, mm-hmm. right? And then you have DGs. DGs, I do know what that means. You do not want to be a DG. Are you a DG? I say you do not want to be it. Are you one? I got to hear you. I can't speak for you. Oh, okay. All right. Can't speak for you. DGs is disappointing grown-ups. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Kanye seemed like he always have a tactic all way. He drop a new album. It's controversy with it. I don't know if he just bringing the controversy to sell, but these antics are getting old. I haven't, I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't heard one song. I haven't heard a sample of the song. And I'm proud to say that. Not because it's Kanye. I'm just saying that I don't want to be in tune to it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be able to just be in a position where it's getting forced on me. You know what I mean? So I didn't hear it. So I decided to check it out to be able to, I haven't checked it out yet. I decided to talk about it based off of Kanye past experience. I remember, you know, the Kanye West that I got introduced to as far as an artist, as far as a creator. And I felt like it was inspiring and motivating people to do the same, to create. I remember the Kanye that went against the grain, so to speak, when it came to the type of music that he made and the type of individual that he was, and him not changing who he was to please appease the people or to appease the music or the executives that were in charge of the music. You know, him putting out Jesus Walk at a time where, let's be for real, a lot of people wasn't making that in the space that he was in. Now we had gospel music and gospel rap, but he did it, you know, in front of the mainstream audience and performed it and was brilliant at it. You know, a lot of his creating and his artistry, even when it comes to the clothes, the fashion, and the people that was under his umbrella and things of that nature, what they have done, you know what I mean, with the Just Dons, the Virgils, the Fear of Gods, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of people that came from underneath the filmmakers, you know what I mean? To see him, you know, I think him and Van Layden had a good, you know, McKinley, Baton Rouge on Van, when he was on his former job, TMZ. Now you have a beautiful podcast going on right now that's, wow, I'm sorry, Van, I can't remember the name. Anyway, Van did a great job of, and I never saw Kanye in that space because Sway had, you know, a little pushback and he kind of went at Sway, and that's where we get the famous, you don't have the answers, Sway. But when Van did a great job of talking to him in that TMZ office, I saw a different Kanye. You know what I mean? Looked like Van did a great job. Now, I don't know if Van around him all the time or anything like that either, but I just like the way Van stood up for, you know, telling him that, hey, man, no, you can't just do anything. You know what I mean? Like, we have to be responsible with our platforms. Like, because you're an artist, yes, it's okay to create. Yes, it's okay to, you know, be inspired and to, you know, inspire people with your work, but you cannot be irresponsible with your talent and or your platform. You have to be responsible to it. You have to know that I have a platform here. I have to be in tune with what I do with that platform. And I don't think Kanye has always been responsible when it comes to his platform and to the people that he can potentially reach and maybe inspire. I think he may have dropped the ball on that a couple of times. I have no idea what he's, you know, talking about now. I think it may be, and I want to say this, we shouldn't just do anything to promote our album. Like, you know, for clickbait or just viral moments in order to promote our album, I don't think that's cool. I don't think that's cool. Like, and we have saw individuals talk about him doing that before. J. Cole was one that talked about him doing anything for when his CD drop or when his shoes drop to go viral so everybody can go out and sell it. Man, I'm talking about, you know, from anti-Semitic things that he did with the whole Adidas and who else? Gap, when he had those partnerships, to calling out Jay-Z and him on stage for 20 minutes, to now, I'm telling you, I read calling Jay-Z and Beyonce kids retarded. That's another thing too. You know, retarded used to be the medical term for somebody that was incapable of certain things. Mm-hmm. But now that term is no longer used.
Correct.
So that's being responsible. You know what I mean? Understanding that. So I don't know what to say about Kanye, but whether he needs help, I don't know. You know what I mean? A lot of the stuff, I like to say, man, we get in line for these things. You know what I mean? He was complaining about his relationship with his ex-wife, with his kid's mother, and how they was treating him. Lesson for everybody: be mindful who you have kids with. Be mindful who you go look for. Be mindful of who you get in a relationship with, because I think a lot of this stuff was brought upon ourselves. You know what I mean? You didn't have to go, do those things, right? And now that the kids are here, hey, that's a beautiful gift, kids, and you have to adjust and adapt to being in those kids' life the way you need to be in those kids' life, so they could be productive, healthy citizens, and be productive members of society. I'm sorry, I ramble on you. I'm hogging mic time. I got something to say and I'm talking. You know what I mean? I've been quiet for a long time.
Like you always do, but when you said, be mindful of who you have kids with, I immediately thought about the things you would hear growing up in Louisiana. You lay in that bed.
Yeah. You made that bed, you gotta lay in it.
Things like that. So it's so many different it's crazy. Why would you even talk about anybody's kids? I don't care what that kid might have. Man. So what? Why don't you pray for that kid? Pray for that family.
How can I help them if I'm associated with them? You know what I mean? Because again, outside looking in, a lot of the world think that y'all are, friends or whatever, family, even
like
so to speak.
Would say, but obviously y'all are not.
Obviously you're not. You know what I mean?
But still,
shout
why
out Moolah.
Not go and take the high road? You know what I'm saying?
And I'm gonna say this about Moolah. Moolah got concerned that he better get on top of himself. You know what I mean? I just.
Yeah, but no. When you bring someone's kid into it, man, it's basically off limits. Yeah. So you are looking for someone to come at you at some point. You know what I'm saying?
People gonna protect their kid. Right. You saw. I don't know what was said. You saw LeBron go walk up on Stephen A. Smith?
I don't blame LeBron because I had to protect mine as well. So you know what I'm saying? I get it. If a grown up would say something and or do something to a child, that child is called a dependent. Mm-hmm. You are supposed to protect that child.
Dependence, yeah.
So, whatever he said, if he said, I didn't read it, I saw or heard it was on X, formerly known as Twitter. I don't have that. So, I mean.
Come on, you got to get in the in crowd. The in crowd, you don't have X?
No, I don't.
You don't have Twitter formerly?
So, but if he posted anything about Jay-Z and Beyonce's kids, he's wrong.
Yeah. I don't want to say toxic masculinity. Kanye being toxic. You know what I mean? Kanye being a bad individual.
Masculinity is just because he's a male, but he's toxic for you to do that.
I agree. Can we move on to something
definitely
a little lighter?
Mm-hmm.
And shed some light to it. New Orleans own, Louisiana own, Anthony Mackie.
Ooh.
He's a superhero, right?
That he is.
Captain American. He's playing awesome stuff, And I think he has a studio that he's developing out there in New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken. It used to be the old mall or the old hospital. Don't quote me on it, though.
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, but Anthony Mackie recently sat down with the Pivot Podcast, and he talked about how he raised his sons, how he tried to keep them away from, he ain't spoiling them, you know what I mean? He ain't never had a pair of Michael Jordans. He talked about, when he leaves to go for work, he has a 15-year-old right now that he said, hey, since he was 2-year-old, you the man of the house. Daddy got to go out here. You the man of the house. He said, you can have a whole lot of money, a whole lot of things, but if somebody jumped through that window, somebody kicked that door down, what that money going to do? You know what I mean? So you got to teach I teach my kids how to be a man. And I'm going to say this. I agree with him.
I do as well.
Yeah, because that's how I grew up. My daddy, when he left, I was a baby boy, but you the man of the house. You secure. I got 2 older sisters. I got a mother. That's your job to make sure the door locked. That's your job to go outside, be on the front line if something going on outside. Doesn't matter what age you are. So I got 3 boys, same way. They also talked about, in that interview, the death of masculine men in America. I wouldn't go that far to say it. I just think it's not in the mainstream. I still see a whole bunch of masculine men. I see some farmers working every day, some guys that hunt. Now, those guys may not be on the front line when it comes to internet and social media. And society may not look at it like that because, you know, we have our own depiction of what a man is by a lot of societal standards. But for me, the internet doesn't define who a man is. Most men I know, to be 200% honest with you, most men that I know that are men, that are masculine men, they're not on the internet.
Correct.
And if they got on it, they just recently got on it to pick up news. And I will not lie to you, I laugh at them all the time because they have no idea. But most men that I know, they do not have the internet. Not the ones that I look up to that was male figure, father figures, part of my village and community as far as being a masculine man in my life. They don't have the internet. They don't have social media. They still read the newspaper. They still watch the news, 5 o'clock, you know what I mean? 6 o'clock. And anything else they want to know, we better tell them.
True.
And you know, so that's how I see it. There's also another guy, Anthony Mackie. Shout out to him, man. I'm gonna say this too. It's, you know, the article that talked about him said Anthony Mackie is getting canceled for this. I don't think he's getting canceled. I don't think there's anything such as canceled. Now, people may not agree with you and they may go somewhere else for the information. They may go and be entertained by some other movie, but I don't think it's a cancel, especially if you haven't done anything that's, you know, we got people that's are killers or have been in situations that's building a fan base. So if they're not canceled, how we cancel somebody but just talking about being masculine and being a man in America? I don't believe in that at all. So nah, man, shout out to Anthony Mackie, how he's raising his kids. He talked about what else? I think he got 4 boys or something like that. I don't want to lie on him. And he said, man, once you get that oldest right, the oldest just kind of get everybody else to fall in line. So shout out to him. I understand. I got 3 boys right now.
Old school teaching right there.
Old school teaching.
Because if the teacher discipline you, everybody else, the other 20 kids in the classroom,
fall in line.
What?
Bill Belichick. I'm going up to Tom Brady. If I get him in line, everybody's going to fall in line. Nick Saban. A lot of that stuff. And these are men in America. Now, those guys probably are forced to have social media because of the job they have, but these guys don't. Nah. No. You know what I mean? So now, I also want to shout out, along with the Anthony Mackie. I don't know a whole lot about him. I recently looked him up, and he has some good things on social media, but Troy Casey, he's called Certified Health Nut. And shout out to Troy, because you can't find a picture of Troy with his clothes on. I'm telling you, Troy is out there showing it. You know what I mean? You have to look hard, but I think he's a man that's, you know, in his 60s. He's done a great job of keeping himself up, eating the right things, working out, mind, body, spiritually, the whole 9. So, but he also talked about keeping his kid away from social media and things of that nature. So that was one of the reasons I was hesitant to start this platform, because I like people to unplug, but I thought it was very necessary to start it because I want to bring that village feel to the internet. I want to bring that type of community to the internet. And I want to shout out those individuals that's doing and standing on the things that they have learned, like Troy Casey, like Anthony Mackie, and have a place for individuals to come and see, hey, there's still some men out here. I'm not, you know, speaking down or talking negative about individuals. This is not going to be somewhere where we gossip or anything like that nature. But you can come here and get great information, and hopefully you can take some nuggets and apply it to your life and make you a better individual. And these are 2 guys that I see that are, you know, he talked about, hey man, this is the worst position to be in. Literally, head down on the phone, right? You know, so be mindful that we give our kids these devices. That's a Troy Casey, the health nut, certified health nut. Be mindful of the devices. Be mindful of their screen time. And for parents, you know, I think a lot of the times screen time comes from parents not wanting to be bothered. So we can throw our kid a device, and that keep them occupied for an hour or 2. But then remember, I'll say this too, just because we recently took a trip to Vegas. Our kids had never been to Vegas, and we thought that, yeah, let's go to Vegas. You know what I mean? I went to Vegas for the first time when I was about 11 or 12 years old. And we're not gamblers, not even close. But Vegas does have a lot of nice things for families and kids to do, right? And just, you know, being presented with new places to travel and things of that nature. But anyway, with that being said, when we walked in, our youngest boy said, oh, this is like a big Dave and Buster's. So with Mr. Casey, the certified health nut, what he talked about, Dave and Buster's, the casinos, and these apps, these phones, all have the same science behind it where it's trying to hold your attention. When you walk into a casino, you hear that cling, you see the lights flashing, a certain color lights, all the atmosphere, the environment is to suck you in. Pause.
Getting that dopamine.
Getting the dopamine. It's trying to get after you. So be mindful of that. Be mindful of the devices that we have our kids on. Be mindful of the screen time. Let's make sure that we are aware of it and that we are letting them be outside doing certain things, playing game boards. Game board, that's chess, checkers, Monopoly, things that doesn't have a battery in it. Teaching them maybe card games, but definitely getting outside, getting some vitamin D, being, you know, silly, you know what I mean? Just getting involved with nature, being grounded, and things of that nature, you know what I mean? Anything, you was outside when you was young?
Absolutely.
You look like you was on an iPad or a computer, because y'all had internet. I remember I used to come to your house just to use the internet.
Stop it.
Probably one of the reasons I was like, oh, she got internet? She got internet?
You came because we had a pool.
Oh, that's what it was. See? You got a pool. See?
I was outside.
See? That's what it was. The pool, not the internet. Okay. All right. But yeah, now, I'm outside. Yeah, I remember you and your sister, you make them pink. No?
If you don't.
No. Too much? TMI? My fault. Anyway, though, be mindful. Make sure that your kids getting outside, getting vitamin D. You know how many people is vitamin D deficient?
A lot.
Yeah, so make sure that we outside, we playing, we working on our mental, our spiritual, unplugging, and I'll say this, with this whole going back to, I know I didn't say this early on, but with the whole checking in and the gang culture, and for athletes out there, I remember Jada Kiss, the Locks. I got in New York in 2005. Mm-hmm. And you can learn something from individuals that talk to you or from how they're moving. So be mindful of what you're learning. But I remember being with Jada Kiss, the Locks, and they don't know, and I don't presume they know me, you know what I mean? Because I'm the little, you know, I ain't with whatever, you know what I mean? I'm just a nice individual, I like to say, you know what I mean? But I'm not somebody that has to be front and center of, you know, attention. But anyway, they're going on and they're doing their tour and things of that nature. And I see them moving around New York in a minivan. I'm like, oh, this, you know what I mean? And I'm saying they could have had, you know, this is after or around the time that the whole, you know, Locks being signed to Bad Boys and things like this. But I look at it as they was moving with the vans to stay out of sight, out of mind. You know what I mean? And how to maneuver through the city, right? So I was able to pick up things and how to move through New York from those individuals. Also, shout out to P with you got me, Mobb Deep. Me and P was major. Me and P was neighbors. Major. Me and P were neighbors. So shout out to his whole family. You know what I mean? Rest in peace. Long live P. But me and him was neighbors for a while. Also, a guy that, you know, gave me some insight on how to move around. You know what I mean? And I took that in. You know, I think we did great. You know what I mean? You know, everybody have certain little things that they got to go through and things of that nature, but nothing serious at all. You know what I mean? I was still able to be Corey Webster from Vastry in Baton Rouge, I was still able to be that in New York. You know what I mean? I never had to be something that I wasn't. I always was myself. So I wanted to just shout out those two guys right there for, you know, they didn't know me from the man, you know what I mean? Fly on the wall, right? You know, we linked up because of maybe mutual friends. And, you know, for them to say, all right, we could give him this. This ain't going nowhere. You know what I mean? We ain't going, because a lot of those guys set up individuals, not those two. I'm just talking about people like we talking about, you know, you got 21 people that just got indicted in the whole case. And a lot of the topic is being talked about checking in and things of that nature. So those guys were just real men and just giving me their real men spiel what they had learned from their area. And I would do the same thing for individuals when they was in New Orleans or Baton Rouge when they came to Louisiana. You know what I mean? So shout out to those guys. So with that being said, that's our show in a nutshell. Y'all chime in, get in the comments, let us know what's great. Let us know what I missed. Let us know what I may have messed up on or didn't give facts on. Let us know your thoughts about, you know, masculinity, femininity, and should it be referred to as toxic, or is just is what it is. Just some people gonna be good, some people gonna be bad. Anything that I miss on any of those cases, we have to do better though as a people. And that's not just black people or white. As human beings, we have to do better. We have to have some level of empathy, some level of discernment, but some level of forgiveness moving forward so we can end this negative cycle of kill, life or death. So anybody, like I said, that was affected by, you know, this tragic violence of individuals, I pray that you too can get over it and be the example of how to going forward. I love all you guys. Have a great day. Enjoy this podcast. Until next time.